Hello, everyone, and welcome wherever you are this morning for me to our introduction to Sigmafi. It's an absolute honor and pleasure to be presenting to you today. I wanted to just say a quick hello. You don't have to look at my face all the time. I just wanted to quickly say a brief hello before we start. Welcome everybody to attending this webinar with us, colleagues and customers from all over the world. Some of our colleagues and customers out of the Asia Pac region, US region, and so forth. I know it's either late or very early for you, but we will be repeating these in those time zones as we roll out Sigmafi. But just a warm welcome to all of you, and we really appreciate the time you making to be with us. I'd really love for us to start and look at why we are all here today. Sigmafi as a product has been launched before, or in previous older versions as the connected production platform from DataShack. It has evolved over the last 2 years so much that it's been released as a standalone branded product, Sigmafi, and a combination of a lot of hard development work as well as branding work from the whole team at the DataShack, and we're really excited to be showing this to you today. We've been doing this for 25 years and longer, working with customers, trying to solve their problems. And this is really the culmination of bringing what we've learned, best practices, industry methodologies together for our customers. So Sigmafi really is a product designed to help you on your process optimization journey, using our experience in the right technologies, and making sure we can get you to market very quickly, and delivering this with excellence and with best practices from what we've learned in the industry over 25 years. Guys, you, as well as me, attend a lot of industry conferences. We get bombarded with marketing. If you're a manufacturer or a producer, we live in a new world, a digital world, not where we lived 20, 25 years ago. Data is king. There's lots of it. It's always attacking us. We need to make decisions. I don't know about you, but certainly I'm in this industry and I've been in it for a long time. Data analytics, data science, and so forth. But even these days on TV ads, you hear the words data science, AI, all kinds of terms being thrown at you. And I think in a world where you've got to get products out the door at a high quality and as fast as possible, at a specification that your customer wants, it's hard for you to wrap your head around these, not let alone people like us whose job it is to know about this stuff. And there's been such a big shift in manufacturing technology and production technology. And the shift is affecting the way we do absolutely everything. Everything is a digital mindset. If I'm walking into your plants today, as some of my younger employees say, I look like the boss, all dressed up, but mostly you'll find me in a hard hat with jeans on and safety shoes in some sort of a industrial plant. That's where I've carved my teeth and grown up in my career. And if we walk into these plants, we walk into yours, we see everybody's talking about digital factory of the future, hands-off type digital manufacturing, digital production. And really, I've lived all of this. You've lived all of this. In the 1980s, 90s, we were really good at taking a look in the rearview mirror. I like this slide just because it just tells, in one picture, it tells us that the evolution of what's happening today. It's no longer any good to look in the rear view mirror, not even looking through the windscreen or what's around the next bend. Most of our customers are in the space where they have to find the fastest route available with best results. before you even leave, like a Google Maps or something like that. You need the kind of technology that tells you before you go there what is likely to happen and give you the best advice on how to get there as quickly as possible. But it's hard to do that if your job is number one. Yeah, I speak to a lot of CIOs as well in manufacturing and industrial and chemical, petrochemical, and mining industry. And a lot of the time, it's the CIOs are so busy with trying to find line of business solutions and just solving the problems, getting the product out the door, and making sure the systems that you need to execute in your control systems, your execution systems, your supply chain systems, and all those kinds of things. They are so busy doing that it's really, really hard to wrap their head around the things that guys on the floor really need all the time, and how to structure that and what are best practices. And that's really what we're trying to bring to the fore with Sigmafi. The data available, the sheer volume. I use this analogy a lot. When I was a youngster and walked into uh, oil and gas plants and things in South Africa and steel plants very early in my career, the data available felt to me, I felt like a DHL driver or the drone here delivering packages is very space age compared to how I felt as a youngster, collecting pieces and snippets of data, trying to put this together to be able to tell my customers where their plant was going and what was happening in the rearview mirror, and if batches are performing the way they should, and so forth. These days, it's a little bit, a lot different. I'm a diver, and I'm in a sea of data. The data is the water, and I have to find a way to navigate myself. And I need a roadmap for this. I need a blueprint for this, and I need to get the info I need as quickly as possible. Just the sheer evolution in this whole digital space of the data being available has made it really, really hard to understand how do I navigate through the technologies that's going to bring this to me very quickly, and what are the best practices and so forth. Because guys, the fact is, and again, walking with my boots and my hard hat into plants that are digital or not digital, if you're not using that data to uncover insights, those insights need to guide you through your business and bring your business into the future. You will become a business of the past. The businesses that aren't winning are the ones that are not embracing these technologies, that even at a small or larger scale are looking at digitalization and making sure that when you bringing data together, everybody sees one version of the truth, and everybody actually has the means to make decisions based on the hordes, literally hordes of data that's coming your way. And that's how Sigmafi came about for us. We want to make it simple. We know your job is to get product out the door, to satisfy your customer, to not hurt your process, and to bring the business value. That is at the core of each and every one of you in the room today. Um, we wanted to create something, and from working with customers in this industry for such a long time, learning what they were struggling with, what were the things that made their life hard, and giving you something that makes it simple, making sure that we give you the blueprints for a connected infrastructure, that you don't have to go worry, how do I marry a set of data with another set of data coming from various sources? Having the right methodologies under the hood, using the methodologies that you guys have lived, like Six Sigma, that you've lived for your entire careers, that you've built your businesses upon, making sure the tech is state of the art. And I talk hyper-converged analytics. I promise I'm not swearing at you. It is making sure that the right tools come together in the best possible way to get the data processed with smart intelligent tools and to serve it up to your community in a way that it's digestible, that it's easily actionable and understandable. Collaboration and access has always been a problem. Making sure that when we deliver tools to you, that it's generic, it's the same, whether I'm a plant operator, a process engineer, a chemist, a geologist, or the CEO. The data that I'm seeing and the performance of my plant that I'm seeing at that point in time is understandable to me as a persona. I can collaborate with my team and I can access this anywhere. And it's the same version of the truth. And it's all the masses of data and it marries at the right place. We really learned from our customers what they were struggling with the most. Siloed data sources, confusion on KPIs and metrics. How does supply chain measure the performance versus manufacturing versus primary incoming versus our suppliers versus what our C-levels are looking at? And we've really tried to bring the metrics that makes the business speak the same language. Analytics, we've done silos, messy, different versions of the truth. I think all of us have been to those C-level meetings where we're all trying to answer the same question, but all of us have 3 different answers because there's no common platform for our data, no process performance sharing across our value chain from beginning to end. And also lack of visibility. Lack of making sure that this is accessible to our entire audience, an entire stakeholder audience. So what are the value drivers for you as a customer, as a human having to deliver? We know your job is involving talking to the whole day all the lovely M's that all of you engineers will know about. Management, money, materials, manpower, all of these inputs that go into your process that need to be integrated so that you can understand, is the way we work supporting our voice of our process? Can we conform to what our process is able to do? Can we give the business what it needs? The business needs to be profitable. The business needs to not make scrap and waste. And how does that relate back to our customer? And how does customer feedback, the voice of the customer, leads us again to improving towards the voice of our business and our process? And this is a process that is tricky, and I don't have to tell people in this room how tricky this is to assure that all your stakeholders, all 3 of these, the customer, the business, and your process, are happy. And this is what we're trying to make easy for you, to get all the correct data integrated in such a way that your process can run smoothly and the stakeholders there actually has the info they need. The voice of the business looks sometimes very different. That's your C-levels. And your customers yet very different. So to make sure that information flows from one side to the other of your business, and you can satisfy all of this without doing guesswork. So you'd ask, what is Sigmafi? Sigmafi is 3 things that we deliver to you. It's a platform. It has pre-built visuals, data integration, embedded AI, ML, and data science algorithms that gets pushed to visuals to people who don't need to understand what's embedded under the hood. You don't need to have to do the integration. The platform has blueprints that connects to your data sources and unifies it so that you can visualize it quickly. There's a tech stack that allows you can, and it's optional, streaming, data virtualization, data science, and visualization. Visualization, not optional. All of the others, optional. You do not have to buy the Ferrari or go to a Ferrari to deliver. We can start at any level of technology. If you're not ready to have data streaming at you a mile a minute, we will work with you until you can. And it also involves some services, implementation and training. So if you invest in Sigmafi, what's in the box? This is what's in the box. All of this underpinned by Six Sigma methodologies. This is industry leading, endorsed by quality organizations. If you're a process engineer or anywhere in manufacturing or production, this is the methodology you live by. So what's in the solution? What's in the platform? If you look at the 3 blocks I was describing, there's data virtualization templates for Sigmafi, meaning whatever your data source, if there's 5 or 6 of them, whether it's your process control systems, whether it's your supply chain data, whether it's plant manufacturing data or production data, whatever it may be, we connect in a virtualized platform so that we can translate what your process is bringing in to talk to the pre-configured data science functions and workspaces and pre-configured dashboards and visualization environment. Jason, who's also present here today in our team, will be showing you a little bit of touching and feeling what the product looks like and how easily it is configured, and also be able to live stream configs for your KPIs. Those are already there. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, but if you're ready, those components are already there. The tech's built in, the platform is built. It's a blueprint, it's ready to use. The technology solutions in here, ready built data streaming technology, batch loading, into a data virtualization environment where we can load up raw, structured or unstructured data, refined data, operational data from master data management, and so forth. Data marts, traditional old school data marts. Data virtualization space allows you to abstract that data, to federate it, to cache it, or to just stream it directly into your data science tools and your data visualization tools. Data science tools under the hood are there to allow data access and prep, model building and selection. We've pre-built all of these for you. However, the platform is there to help you customize if you want to. Model deployment, management and monitoring of those models. And it sits there in a platform already under the hood. What is the GUI? What does your users see? Data visualization space for analysis and for storytelling. It's structured in the DMAIC Six Sigma way, and you'll see we made it like this specifically so that you could define, measure, analyze, improve, control. This is what the product is all about, to get you to better production faster with a data blueprint that's ready built, and it's accessible anywhere. The dashboards are built to be accessed on desktops, tablets, as well as smartphones. The last component in the 3 blocks of what Sigmafi is implementation and training. So some services, again, as much or as little as you need. There's deployment of your streaming and data virtualization components, if that's what you opt for. Deploying the data science functions and workspaces. They're already built. It's just pre-configured and we can deploy them. The dashboards and visualization environment, again, it takes very little to map your data sources to the Sigmafi template and make sure that whatever the parameters you're measuring, whatever you're trying to improve in specific processes, that you actually allow, just quickly map it, and we implement it fairly quickly. Training is another component that we offer with Sigmafi. Obviously, how to use Sigmafi, you'll see it's pretty easy to navigate. However, of course, we offer training and getting your users started. We also, of course, with our very trusted and valued partners in our partner community, deliver Six Sigma training for you in-house as when it's required. And course in analytics and data science training. If you are our customer already, you would have attended some of these courses with us. We've been delivering it for many years. Why is all of this underpinned by Six Sigma methodology? Because it's proven. These are companies, global market leaders that uses the methodology. That therefore our decision to use that methodology to assure when you navigate your way through Sigmafy, you actually speak the same language. You use the same metrics. Everybody understands. It's effective. It produces well-informed leaders within your organization, because technology alone does not solve your problem. It has to be a mindset, and it has to be a way of solving uh, um, uh, everything that's coming at you a mile a minute. So what's included? What functionality do you get with Sigmafy? So what are in those templates and visualizations? Templates for process optimization, of course, predictive analytics for quick root cause analytics. So it will predict for me if something is starting to happen, what is going to happen next? What do I need to do to fix it? That's where the data science and AI algorithms under the hood of Sigmafy gives you cutting edge technology and allowing very quickly to understand what went on and what is likely to happen if this is going to carry on for the next hour, for the next few days, and so forth. Continuous improvement, looking as a whole how your value chain is performing and trying to understand what it is that I need to do to continuously satisfy the voice of my business, the voice of my customer, the voice of my process. And of course, statistical process control. Of course, a lot of you already have this. If you're a state-of-the-art, one of our larger customers, you already have advanced process control and statistical process control in place. However, it is there to navigate through your entire value chain with all of your data sources and to be able to compare your incoming raw materials to in-process data to final products that went out to your customer. So it's a platform where SPC doesn't happen in silos. And it doesn't replace the systems that you already have there for shop floor control. However, it allows you to look at it at a higher comparative level and very quickly navigate to areas of pain within your business. Sigmafy has customizable add-ons for planning and distribution, for raw materials and supply chain, for predictive maintenance, as well as in our food. We've got many customers in FMCG that make products that have to be stable and have a shelf life. There's toolkits, add-ons for Sigmafy for these specific applications, verticalized type applications. We've done this before. And guys, a lot of the time, and I know you get literature, you get bombarded with marketing materials, you go to conferences, and people spit some of these in my time, sometimes they become actually irritating swear words. AI, ML, I hear it on TV and I want to I'm in that industry and it kind of makes me a little bit sick when I hear these words. And the first thing at a conference, if I go sit and somebody comes in, a sales person comes and attacks me and said, have you, the things I want to make clear to you today is, have you done it? That's the question I always ask them. If they say, did you know you could do this? Did you know you could do that? Did you know this is possible now with digital technology? I'll say, yes, thank you. Where have you done it? Have you done it before? The answer at the Data Shack is we've done it before many, many, many times. We've been doing it for the last 25 years. We are so happy that the technology has evolved with the needs of our customers. There's new algorithms, there's newer tech available to make it faster, to make it easier, to make it better. The use cases, if you've had it, we've probably sweated over it and solved it. And that's why we wanted to bring Sigmafy to the market, to assure that when we bring you the technology, we know that it's proven. It stood its stead with very, very large organizations in your market. These people are our customers. They've worked with us. Some of our larger customers for more than 15, 20 years. that is delivery, and we say deliver with excellence. This is what we want to bring to the fore. There's a lot of talk out there of what can, the art of the possible. Everything is possible, but can you deliver? Okay, and delivery is something that for us has been, we won't have a business without being able to deliver, and we won't keep customers without being able to deliver. I'm just going to finish off before giving Jason a chance to show you some of the product. But what will you find in our shack? If you look at what is the Data Shack, we're a global organization. Our US operations with my business partner, Sherlock Holmes. I believe, Sherlock, you may or may not be in the room. If it's very, very, very early in the morning for you in the US, if you are, welcome. From Janeway Computer Systems, who's our sister company in the US, our US operations, all of the Americas run out of their South and North America. Data Shack, which was started and owned by myself, and shared now with my partner in crime in Europe, Sherlock, and that is his real name. It's no joke. Elise Perry, who's also in the room, who manages our service organization globally that actually services most of our customers. And service teams. We obviously provide platforms for data unification, data analysis, and data science, regardless of what Sigmafi is. And obviously in our competency center, we provide managed services and admin training, coaching, development, and consulting globally. Me as the CEO of the Data Shack want to just thank you for at least giving us the time to launch Sigmafi to you. We certainly are really, really excited about bringing this product to market. We're excited because in the last 2-3 years, we've had the early adopters of our product being really satisfied and making big differences and expanding with the product. And so we're really, really excited to where this could take you guys, and really happy to be able to present to you today. So with that, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague, Jason Windus. Just an introduction to Jason. Jason's been with us for give or take 10 years. He joined us from a very, very large manufacturing organization where he was a data architect, and Jason is a lead solutions architect in our team, who's been really key in deployment of a lot of the systems that you've seen today. So Jason, welcome. And with that, before I hand over, just want to pay tribute to our team in the US as well at Janeway, especially our colleague Tim Crocker, who handed the product development over to our team in the last few years. What you see here today is a culmination of years of work, guys, and years of experience. So thank you so much for being with us. And Jason, with that, I'm going to hand over to you. Guys, I'm going to chip in where there's some data science discussion and so forth. But Jason, I'll try to not interfere too much. Welcome. Thank you.
No problem, Annie. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Today, I'm going to demonstrate to you the Sigmafi solution and how it works. I'll bounce around a little bit, but I'm going to try and follow the workflow, and I'm going to dive in here and there. So let's get started.
So Jason, before you carry on here, guys, and sorry for interrupting, but that number one, you can go and select data out of your process. You can also view streaming data, which Jason will show in a minute. But the minute you then want to, that data is now loaded into Sigmafi, and as a practitioner, you're now able to go through the steps of understanding. If you look at define phase, what are if you're streaming data, the events in the last few minutes that's been causing CPKs or process performance to be low, and zoom directly into those processes right away. Or you could select data. I now go into a measure phase where I'm quickly able to assess my process capability metrics. And this is across the data that I selected, all departments, all products, all metrics in those departments. And I can go and quickly zoom in the bad ones and do process analysis by parameters that are not performing. I can immediately, those non-performing, if you look at analyze phase, if I'm solving a problem, I can immediately go and look at what is causing that by having the data science algorithms right under the hood. If it's a regression, a classification, or a time series type problem, I can immediately go and say, what is going wrong? What are the other variables affecting this non-conforming variable in my process? I can go and slice and dice through my CPK and my performance over time, over calendar. How's it performing? Can I forecast what might happen? And so all of this is under the hood in the analyze space of Sigmafi. Improved, Jason will show you in our measure phase, our R&R and MSA analysis, measurement systems analysis. Also in improved phase, you want to be optimizing. You want to do experimental design and say, what is the best that can happen given what's happening now? And of course, then the SPC module in our control phase, where you obviously can go and view multiple control charts and zoom in very quickly on the selected data. Thanks, Jason, and I'll stop here. I just wanted to explain to the audience how the way that this user UI is designed is for you to solve problems and do it very, very quickly.
Excellent. Thanks, Annie. So very often in an organization, you'll have a lot of data, as well as having multiple data sources, which that data will come from. In this case, we have two data sources. One is called finished goods and the other process data. Finished goods has a limited amount of data over here, and the process data has a little bit more data. So generally, data sources can be organized hierarchically in different ways. So process data may be described with a hierarchy of manufacturing line, a machine, a phase, etc. Finished goods data might simply be a product or a line or a recipe. Raw materials could have a supplier, material, or lot number in the hierarchy. In the back end, we've aligned the data between the data sources so that the columns that function in the same way across data sources are in the same columns in the dashboard. You also set up custom hierarchies to allow your company to use its own terminology and structure that makes sense to you and through which you can look at your data. But I'll go into that a little bit more detail later. Often you'll have sort of a large amount of raw data that's too big to display. So that's why this page actually exists. It shows you a summary of that data. You need to, you generally just choose a data source and then a product or a period, and you can filter and zoom in on the portion of data that you want to have a look at. Depending on how you search for your data, you might want to use a summary screen like this, or you could use a summary screen that shows you data by performance. That way you can choose areas not performing that well and delve into that detail. I'm going to select quite a bit of this data because there's not that much data here. And I'm going to essentially load the detail records. Once it's loaded, it'll give you a message on the top right-hand side saying that it has loaded the records. I'm going to go to home. So you'll notice that some of the buttons are actually grayed out. So we've split this into two separate dashboards. The ones that are grayed out are in the separate dashboard, and the ones that aren't are in this dashboard. So yeah, let's have a look at process mean analysis by parameter, which is a favorite of our customers. So you'll see on the top left-hand side here, this is a tree map. And it basically contains all the data that we've currently loaded. So you'll also see the colors here. This is CPK. So everything red is not doing so well to green, which is doing well. Let's click on a parameter for a product. That'll populate the graphs. And you'll be able to see on this graph over here, the upper and lower spec with the target as well. And you'll be able to see CPK by day and a couple of other CPK visualizations. let's go and have a look at the control panel. The control panel is essentially where you do your configuration for Sigmafi. Typically, this is just done in the beginning, or if you add another data source. Each data source is listed, and below are the columns from each data source as you select that data source. So you can select the column to determine your hierarchy. So in this instance, the hierarchy is department, product, and parameter. You can save that as a hierarchy, and each data source can have a different hierarchy. In the same way, you have a characteristic control on the right-hand side here that allows you to select a unique set of columns that come together to define the key for graphing rules that are going to be used for the process control model. So this key can be as granular or as sort of high level as you want it to be. The more granular you make it, the more you have to maintain rules on a more granular level. So that's why we set it at quite a high level in this particular demo. The parameter control panel on the left-hand side here allows you to select which columns in your data contain the values for these important Sigmafi columns. So you assign the columns in your data to the Sigmafi columns. And this will then, these are the columns that have been aligned in the back end. The Sigmafi columns, once defined, allows the dashboard to essentially configure itself, and the dashboard will start working. Let's go back to the previous page. On the left-hand side here, you'll see there's a couple of buttons. Each page will have help, which opens up in a flyout. Then you've got the home button, which will take you home, as well as the reset button, which will reset markings and filters. And the button at the top here will take you to the process control page. Right, this is the same GMAP that you've just seen in process mean analysis by parameter, but now you can see you can select a parameter and push its selected data through a Statistica or Workbench SPC model, which will output statistical process control charts. So after picking the variable, let's pick a good one. You select the kind of chart that you want to create, and then you execute that model. So I'm going to choose an individuals chart, and I'm going to run it through the model. It will only continue if the top right-hand side here, the SPC rule has been found. If the SPC rule has not been found, there will be an error that's thrown. Based on this rule, it knows which charts to create, and all the data obviously is passed through the model. And here is the data as it comes out. The X chart is the actual data points. The R chart is the differences between those data points. And you'll obviously also see on the X chart the calculated control limits in this instance, as well as the calculated center line.
Yes, what's really important to know here is that when we set up Sigmafi, for each and every parameter in your plant, we can say this can be generic, or you're allowed afterwards to go and change them as you want to, what types of charts, what control violations you want to and don't want to see. We can set it up as generic as you want to, and we can leave it to you to then customize as you want to do that. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Annie. You obviously have the histogram of the data points as well as the histogram of the variances. Yeah, like Annie was mentioning, you've got the red that shows you any data points that are out of control. You've got orange, which show you data that is in a run violation. Run violations are basically when something happens 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row. For example, when data points are on the same side of a mean 4 times in a row, that's generally a run violation in this instance, and the green indicates no violations. The users can
guys,
click.
of course, based on your Western Electric runs rules, which will violate a normal distribution. So it's again up to you how many of those you want to enable for alarming and so forth. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks. So the user can then click on the bell, which navigates them to the runs test screen to just zoom in on those runs violations. The X graph on here, this shows us the same X graph as the previous screen. Over here, you'll see the essentially you'll see the control limits as well as the spec limits. So you'll be able to see that the process is obviously in spec, but out of control in this instance. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see the rules that have been violated, and you can actually select a couple of them, or one of them. So if I select one of them, it will actually highlight the data points and where they are in the graph. You can select a couple more of them if you want, and it'll select more of them. And if you want to actually zoom in on that detail, you can click over here, and it will actually show you just the points on that you're having a look at right now. So the process screens, the SPC model, and the parameter mean analysis by parameter screen are really key components of this part of Sigmafi for essentially finding the issues. I'll quickly take you through the rest. The forecast screen here, you can see you can choose, it's got the same tree map over here, and it'll actually show you a Holt Winters forecast for the data on predictions. We've got a process capability metric screen, which on the top here allows you to see the CPK at a high level according to the hierarchy that you set up. So here you've got department and then product. You can click on a product that's not doing so well, and it will then show you the parameters for that product, and you can actually go and investigate those specific parameters. The CPK breakdown. So this is just different ways of looking at your data. It starts off at a high level, and then you can actually go and narrow in on a product, for example, or if you want to narrow in on a parameter as well. This just shows you what's happening over time.
Yeah, guys, and it shows you the number of samples specifically for that product taken over that time, how your CPKs have been performing and your CPs. If you don't know what those are, of course, if you're not a process engineer, CPK is the capability of your process to perform within its spec limits and being on target, as dictated by the voice of your customer and the voice of your business. And can this product be delivered and sent out to a customer, and what is not performing? And if I look over time, how has this product been performing over the manufacturing times that it has been in production? Okay. And of course, this hierarchy, as Jason said, if you have specific parts of your plant rather than products in your hierarchy, you want to see, say, for instance, you're a mining customer and you want to say, I want to look at a concentrator, a smelter. If I want to look at in diamond mining at dense media separators, and I want to go and try and build my plant hierarchy the way that my SAP system may be built, or the design of my plant. These hierarchies are pre-configured, and it allows you to be able to view your plant in the way that is organized and the way that your users are used to navigating through it, of course. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Annie. Let's go to the CPK calendar quickly. And if I choose a specific product here, yeah, you'll see how the red problems tend to exist at the top here. This is basically how the product is essentially moving through departments A, B, and C, and D. And CPK doesn't do too well in the beginning, but towards the end it improves a little. So yeah,
this allows you, and Jason, before you move on, this allows you really over time to and as a whole in your plant to see pieces of your production plant that are not performing on certain parameters very quickly at a glance. I can look at a week, a month, a day, the whole year, and start seeing where is it in primary processing, is it in secondary manufacturing, or is it in my raw, my end, and usually, obviously, we find really good quality in our end product, because in the middle there's a lot of magic we have to do to make sure that our final product that goes to our customer looks the way that we need it to look. But this shows us immediately where to focus and when have I not performed well, and so forth. And as soon as I drill in, I can go back to my process mean by parameter and try and understand why and what is going to happen if I continue. Thanks, Jason.
Exactly. So I'm going to quickly jump to the phone version. So this follows the same hierarchy. You can go and select a department, which will take you to the product screen. Go and select a product, and then you can go and select a parameter. And this will then show you why that parameter is not doing so well. It's pretty much running a little bit out of spec there, you can see. And this is actually a screen that's developed that if you turn your phone on the side, you'll be able to see this screen quite clearly. So going back to the monitor version, let's go to multivariate regression analysis. Let's do a reset quickly. Click on Department A. As you pick a department, inside of that department, there are parameters only applicable to that part of the hierarchy. And these then populate these selection boxes in the middle. These selection boxes are what you'll be passing through to the multivariate regression model. You need to pick a dependent parameter. We have that in this case. And then you can select which continuous and categorical variables you want the model to analyze. I'm just going to go ahead and select all of them.
And guys, here you can obviously see if you've got a CPK that's performing red, Department A is not doing very well. Why is Department A? Why is the CPK not performing well? Which are the variables that are driving it? And under the hood sits a regression algorithm that's going to go and have a look and tell you with variable importance what is influencing currently my CPK. And so really, really cool that the heavy lifting's being done under the hood. Your user doesn't need to go and select all kinds of parameters, go to a separate tool. They can go here and quickly try and understand which are the parameters that are driving that CPK in Department A to not be performing.
At the bottom left, you'll see two graphs that are giving you some reference of how much variability is required for either categorical selector or continuous selector by the white line, which is the minimum. Below the minimum, if the data is below the minimum, the model won't be worth running. Once you've made your selections, you click on the green button to run the model with the data that's currently selected. The model's output tells us which of these variables is having the greatest impact on the dependent variable for that department. Let's go to multivariate classification analysis. This next multivariate analysis is the classification model. How it works is very similar to the multivariate regression page, so I won't go through all of it again, except you need to choose a categorical dependent. Categorical dependent. So I'm going to choose bin CPK in this instance. I'm going to leave the selections as they are, and then I'm going to run the model again. The model will tell us which has the most impact on this categorical dependent. Moving to the time series analysis. This is also a similar concept where you can go ahead and pick a variable.
Yeah, and guys, of course, this is actually doing analyzing, and this has got a neural network. We depending on your data, we can put a neural network under the hood, which is the latest state of the art, but it actually will look at the time series currently and help predict for you what is likely to happen with individual mass E that Jason selected now over time. It's running through a neural network algorithm, forecasting algorithm, that will actually run 5 networks and an ensemble and tell you what depending on what the networks learned out of your historical data, what are they actually, what is it likely to look like in the next hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so forth, depending. And of course, what's happening under the hood here is quite a lot of heavy lifting. It will be done in a second, but and guys, really, just while this is running, if you look at the regression, classification, and neural networks algorithms we've got running under the hood, on this particular data, we've got boosted classification trees, boosted regression, as well as forecasting multivariate neural network running here. So again, we assess with the data that you have that these are good off the shelf for you. However, we can implement any of the algorithms as necessary.
Okay, let's move on to streaming. All right, so this is essentially data coming in from a simulated stream that we've done. It allows you to see what is happening right now on the factory floor if you were allowed to hook into the streams coming off the factory floor. So you'll see you can actually select parameter and you'll be able to see more detail as to what is happening right now. Let's go to the process control. Coming back to the screen, I just want to tell you a little bit about if this message on the top right hand is not positive and the rule is not found, you can actually go to the cog screen, which takes you to the SBC rules verification screen. To see in more depth what is happening, the top is the same tree map. The SBC configuration table holds the rules selected as you pick a variable above. And when you select a rule record over here, you'll see the details of that rule record.
And guys, this allows you, of course, as we said, to be as custom or as generic as possible. You can set up all the rules with one config file right in the beginning, what types of charts you want to view, what alarms you want to be set or not set, what violations you want to check for, not check for. However, anytime interactively, you can come into the config screen, into that little settings area, and you can come and set any of this the way that you want it to function individually for individual parameters in individual products and departments, if they obviously are separate.
So yeah, if there is, for example, no rule here, that's when you would need to contact your administrator so that they can configure this correctly. So that's essentially the main Sigmafi dashboard that we've taken you through. Let's go and switch to the other dashboard.
Then, guys, of course, usually your R&R experiments are done in plant, your measurement systems analysis, as well as your DOEs, experimental design. They're separate experiments from your live data. For some of our customers, we've split them away so that we can just load these modules in on the production floor in the lab. It's up to you whether we expose all of them to your users or whether we keep them separate. In this case, we've kept them separate just to show the data entry tools and so forth. But it doesn't have to be separate.
Right, so you'll see here that you have the obviously R&R and DOE. So the design of experiments has a guide page that you can have a look at. The easiest way to think about DOE is to use the example of baking bread. You need to bake it for a duration with a level of heat and a level of moisture. So your experiments will consist of different combinations of cooking duration, temperature of the oven, and the amount of water you start with inside the oven. Ultimately, you're wanting to find the right combination that bakes the perfect loaf of bread. You must capture these combinations as well as the results of each experiment, run it through a model, and then report on it to find the optimum settings and recipe mix. This tool helps you to do that. The R&R is about measurements and people. As an example, you could have different people measuring the moisture inside a loaf of bread, each working at different ovens. These different ovens could have different people working depending on the shift. At some point, you have to understand how well the people are measuring this moisture. The gauge R&R is what helps you to do that. It may not necessarily be the people. You're also measuring how well the gauge is actually taking that temperature, for example. So let's start with repeatability and reproducibility. This dashboard is a little different from the main dashboard, as it also includes input screens, which we'll show just now. But here you see your list of experiments, and let's go to design quickly. So this is where you create your experiment, give it a name, you capture your operators. If you don't have an operator in the existing list, you can actually go and save an operator to that list, and you then go and choose your characteristic that you're running an R&R on. You can save that R&R design, and once it's saved, essentially it goes and creates a matrix for you that looks very similar to this. I'm going to go to the data capture screen, go and select my experiment, and you'll see that's essentially what it looks like. On successful login, this sometimes will this data entry is a separate module. It'll ask you to log in. The black font is where the users can capture the measurement values, and they go along until they've captured values for all the users for all their trials. Let's go back home and go and select this particular experiment and run it through the R&R model.
Yeah, and it's now analyzing the data that's been captured to try and tell me whether there's variability being introduced into my process by repeatability or reproducibility problems, whether my operators or gauges are causing some sort of bias before I go and start modeling and doing really cool things with that data. If I actually look at this, and Jason and I were actually having a giggle when we were setting up this experiment because there's very little part-to-part variation. If you look at the R&R variance components chart or table at the top, it basically tells me that all my variation is being caused by a repeatability problem of 97%. So I definitely wouldn't go take this temperature process into production, or I wouldn't trust the data that comes from there. It looks like the operators themselves cannot actually replicate the measurements are the same thing at the same time. I've got a big repeatability problems. I've got zero reproducibility problem, but repeatability is a huge problem. I need to go and check whether the operators or gauges need training or calibration. This is, of course, fictitious data entered by our system guys that might not understand that this needs to be below 30%. Else it doesn't help for me to go model all this data. Right, thanks, Jason.
No worries. Let's go to the design of experiments. So in design of experiments, you can have 2-level or 3-level experiments. A two-level experiment consists of a high and low limit, and 3-level experiments consist of high, low, and target value. Each of those experiments can have between 2 and 5 factors, meaning characteristics that we want to measure, e.g. height, heat, and time.
Yeah,
So,
guys, this is all with optimization, right? You're trying to see what, once you found the non-performing inputs in your process, you want to go and optimize them to get the Y that you want, or the CPK that you want for that matter. And this is about saying, what do I need to do to those parameters, set them at high, medium, low, play around with scenarios, optimization scenarios to see what do I need to do to them to fix them or to get the Y that I want to up my CPK at the end of the day.
let's navigate to the design screen. So over here, you can see this is where we create the experiments. On the top right, you'll see this is a 2-level experiment. There's 2 levels here and 3 factors. We only have 3 factors over here, but essentially you can go up to 5 factors. On the left, you can name the experiment, change the number of factors that you can select, how many times you'll be replicating or repeating the experiment. The number of center points controls how many additional data points are added into the experiment. Once you've captured the information for these forms, you've designed your experiment, you can click on save, And then you can go to the data entry screen. This is the data entry screen. Click on Load Experiment, and essentially here is what the experiment looks like. It's very similar to the Gauge on R data entry. In this bread example, you would work through the experiments with the different temperatures and times. As you do that, you capture your dependent variable, which is the result of that experiment. This is quality in this instance. Once all the values have been captured, navigate back to the 2-level home and click on the progress bar to go to the output page. So let's just make sure this is that one. Let's just make sure this is the output for that and run that. So that's it finished. On the top left, or essentially the above here, is essentially what a data scientist will be able to use to interpret the results of this model that the data has run through.
Well, Jason, yeah, just navigate for us to the ANOVA table, for instance. So guys, I can see here, I'm trying to figure out what's having the biggest effect on the quality of my bread here. And it looks like with all of them, well, they're not interacting with one another. Moisture, linear effect, not significant. However, moisture has some sort of a non-linear relationship with the quality of my bread, and it's very significant. I've get a 25 sums. It causes variation. It's the largest sums of square variation there by 25. So moisture is very important. It's not linear. As well as time, the cooking time seems to be, but moisture is the most important, double as important as time. But I can very quickly see what's driving this. And I can then go and try and find optimum values. Looking at the, number one, the Pareto chart will just show me, Jason, yeah, you can navigate there. It will show me what has the biggest effect. It's simply that table in a little graph, and what's significant or not crosses the little red line. But what I really want to do here is optimization. So if you look at the fitted surface plot there, Jason, I can actually go and see at which, and this, you can see this is non-linear, this relationship. I'm looking for the area with the dark red, which gives me a quality of above 3. If this is out of 5, this is the best quality I can get. It looks like it's at a low, cooking at a low temperature with a moisture, if you read off that graph, between like 85 and 65 and 75 degrees. It seems I get the optimal red quality there on this fitted surface. So I want to go and set now my moisture and my temperature on my control charts at those levels to get the optimal quality that I can get out of this process. So guys, this is the optimization within here. Yeah. Jason, I think we're good unless you wanted to show anything more.
No, that's
We're
it. That's it from us.
out of time. Guys, we do have some time for questions and answers. If you guys have some time for questions and answers, just from my side, we've tried to give you a taste of touch and feeling the product. We've also tried to just tell you what it's all about and what's included and how we deploy it for you. I hope it's been interesting. And with that, I'd like to open the floor if anybody has any questions, if you have time. If you don't, guys, the team of people are here for you. Amy will be reaching out to all of you. Number one, you'll get the recording if you'd like it. We also have literature. You can navigate that. We'll send you links to our webpage where you can go read more about Sigmafi. There's some more detailed brochures and flyers around the product. And of course, reach out to Amy and Elise, Josh, and the team who are responsible for organizing all of this. And we'll get any info back to you. Of course, if you want to have a bit of a more immersive experience with Sigmafi and you'd like for Jason and team to hook this up to your own data, and play around with it. It's very easy and quick for us to hook it up to demo data for you to be able to show you how that would look like in your particular plant. We absolutely thank you for your time and being with us this morning. So Josh has put in the chat window for you the web link to navigate to the product page on our website. Please go have a look, download the collaterals. But if you want any of those or more details, please contact back to Amy or Josh or anybody in the team that's been communicating with you.
Annie, just wanting to close the loop, this model is finished and
Then
has
you're all
returned
there.
its data. Yeah.
Okay, guys, and you can now see what it's kind of forecasted my CPK for that department to be. Yes, Pizzo, thank you for your question. And yes, it absolutely does allow you to play around. We have a demo that you can play with yourself. It's got some this demo process data in. Also, if you'd like to give us some of your data to load in, Jason and team can do that. And it does allow you to play around with all of the functionality. Absolutely. Any more questions, guys? These guys also, most of you know the members of the team that reached out to you, that invited you. Thank you, Clement. Appreciate you attending. Guys, really, it's been great talking to you this morning. Elise has put her contact details in the window. If all else fails, please just go to our website. There's contact links on there. Many of us reach out. Also, Amy will be in contact with anything that you might need, and please respond back with any questions you have. Or if you have further questions or want to talk later, we're available. And guys, lastly, that kind of seeing it looks like we're not getting any more questions. I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I super appreciate it. We know you're busy people, and please reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear what you think about the product, and any suggestions you might have are always welcome. Thanks, Rafael, and lovely to have all of you here. Thank you very much.